Do, do, do.
All right, we're live.
Man, we have the best haircuts in the world. Everyone should be jealous.
Very cost effective. It's a
That's,
strategic investment.
well, for you, it was strategic. For me, I didn't really have a choice. I turned 30, and in 2 weeks, it was like gone.
I'd rather allocate the funds to more properties.
That's a good piece. Are we live? We
Yeah.
are live. All right. We've got 3 people coming in. Come on in. Join us if you're new to our world. The guy with me, his name is CJ. I'm Steve, and we are here to talk about property. CJ is the founder and owner of Win Properties. We help people invest remotely in the Midwest. We build teams. We help you make money. We got some more people coming in. They're early. I love that we got early birds in here. If you're joining us, drop a message in the chat. Let us know where you're from. Let us know what you'd like to hear tonight. We've got a pretty good night planned for you. We're going to be going over how CJ, while working at UPS, built enough properties to provide financial freedom for him and his family inside of 5 years. We're going to give you the step-by-step process. We're going to go through what they went through, the mistakes, not just the successes, because you learn the most from mistakes, right, CJ?
You don't know success unless you failed.
Very true. We were talking before we came on. It's not when problems are going to happen, or sorry, it's not if, it's when. So we're going to go through what some of those look like, hopefully to help you guys sidestep them. We'll be sharing with you. We've got more people coming in. Drop some things in the chat. Let me see. I want to make sure I have the chat open. There's comments. Nobody's leaving a comment. Drop. Let us know where you're from. There we go. Where you're from, what's going on in your world. If you have some properties, let us know that too. We always like to support people that have some properties or are looking to grow. Maybe you're just getting started. Maybe that's why you're here. Tonight's show is going to be really good for you. Jasmine says she's in Reno. Well, that's good you're in Reno, Jasmine. What's the weather like there right now? Is it hot for you guys yet?
Just under 100.
Boo. It was 62 today. It's beautiful here. Very nice. All right. We got some more people coming in. You guys are early, which is awesome. So the things that we're going to be going through tonight, we're going to take you through where CJ started, how he got his first property, then how they went to several properties in year 2. They hit a wall. And then year 3, they springboarded to over 30 properties. We're going to be walking through that. But you'll notice he didn't quit his job at UPS until he had more than that. You were at UPS for what, 5.5 years after you started buying real estate? How long?
I'd say closer to 9.
9 years from property 1?
Oh, no, excuse me. I was working at UPS for 9 years before I started looking into real estate.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then how long from time you bought your first house until the time you quit or retired?
Less than 5 years.
Okay. So that's what we're going to be going through tonight. But you had year 3, you had like 30 some properties and you kept working. Why?
Yep. Wife didn't approve. Wasn't enough.
Just so you know, CJ, every time I see Jasmine, well, maybe not every time, I tell her that she should let you buy a new car. And she says no. She's like, nope, not yet.
No. She's a not yet person. I'm a why not now person.
Who got to name the company? So the company, just so you guys know, WNN. Man, I'm messing everything up tonight.
All right, it's late.
WNN. What does WNN stand for?
Why not now?
Why not now?
Yeah.
People have all the excuses in the world as why they can't get started in real estate. So we're going to go through this. We're right at the top of the hour. We got about 30 people in here. We're gonna give them just a couple more minutes. Victor says Georgia. Good to see you in Georgia. JJA. I don't know why it looks like a recording. I promise you it's not. I don't know. It's not a recording. We are definitely live. We worked very hard. We were here 30 minutes ago making sure it was all set up. So we are definitely live. Georgia, Victor, thanks for telling us you're in Georgia. Do you own any properties, Victor, JJ? Just looking to get started? Where are you at in your journeys? Let us know. We're here to help you. The whole reason we do these live streams is share information. Too good to be live. I like that. I started investing when I was a junior in college. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I was a bartender, and I went out, and it took me 6 months to get my first place. But I started buying way back then. JJ, buying commercial. Nice. Well, we might talk about some commercial tonight. Mostly going to be single family. CJ, when was the first commercial property you bought?
2019.
Okay. Were you still at UPS or was it after?
I was technically there, but I was no longer working.
Okay. So maybe we'll touch on some commercial tonight. Triple net leases, always a fun place to be. That's Jasmine's favorite. She's in the background smiling right now. She's a big fan. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. If you're just joining us, my name's Steve, and I am joined by CJ Callio. CJ is the founder and owner of WNM Properties. We help people remotely invest in the Midwest. So if you live somewhere where properties are really expensive or you're having a hard time finding what you want, we help people invest in the Midwest completely remote. We help them find their perfect place. Then we help them build their team. And then we help them get properties coming in. We analyze them and we help you buy cash flowing properties so you can build a portfolio to help fund retirement, help fund the lifestyle of your dreams. That's the whole point here. We're not get rich quick. This usually takes somewhere between, I would say, 2 and 5 years, depending where you need to go financially. We're going to talk through all of that tonight. Tonight, we're going to go through the step-by-step of what CJ did. CJ was working as a UPS driver. They bought their first property. Then the next year, they bought a few more properties. Then the next year, they bought a lot more properties. And then years 4 and 5, they kept buying to reach financial freedom. We're going to go through the step-by-step and what that looks like. If you have questions, put them in the chat. Ron, thanks for saying hi. Anna, thanks for saying hi. Where are you guys from? Drop them in there. If you have questions as we go through this, please put them in the chat. We're here to answer them for you. That's the whole reason we do this. We want to help you guys. We want to help educate you, help break you free of those chains that hold you in a 9-to-5. Jasmine's putting a link in there. If you do wonder how you can work with us, you can definitely click the link. You can book a call with me. Jump on my calendar. I'm happy to chat with you. And let's go ahead and kick this off. CJ, you didn't even want to do real estate in the beginning. I heard this story that you rented dance floors. Did you have a rentable dance floor?
No.
Okay, that's good. That makes
there's a lot of made up stories around the businesses I started. But the ones that were more well known were like car detailing, landscaping, house. I guess you'd call it like a housekeeper / house cleaning service. I sold some lights when LEDs first came out. I became a informal distributor in Hawaii, HID lights, stuff like that.
Got it. And you tried an MLM as well, right?
Yep. Several.
That's it. So you tried a lot of things. And then finally, you're working at UPS. You're trying to figure out financial freedom. And Jasmine talked you into buying the first property, right? That
and the failed businesses kind of closed all the doors that I thought I could do to show her I didn't need real estate. You asked me 11 years ago when we first started, I wouldn't admit it. And now looking back, it was a lot of fear of unknowns. And the fact I didn't understand anything she was talking about. She was speaking English, but yet it sounded Chinese. real estate and all the lingos that come with it. And I wasn't secure enough to admit I'm afraid to do this because I don't know what I'm doing. That's why I did the businesses, because I knew I could do those things
More
physically.
control.
Yeah, perception of control, which led to not success, just more work.
It's funny. I was talking to somebody the other day about being like entrepreneurship. It's like I fired my boss and I became a worse boss. I work more hours and I make less money, man, and I can't fire myself, right?
Yeah.
That's an interesting. So, okay, you said there was some fear. Actually, let's talk about that, because I think a lot of people, they've heard that real estate provides financial wealth. It can retire them from their job. It's the best place to hold money, all these things, but yet they don't get started. What were some of the fears that you were facing in the very beginning?
I didn't understand it. It's not something that's well taught. You actively have to go and seek out and educate yourself. Another aspect was there's so many different strategies out there, right? When we talk and we present live in person, we go over like the 4 bigs or 4 or 5 bigs, which buy and hold is one of them, flipping's another, wholesaling, syndication, uniquing into these funds. Like there's all these variations of investing in real estate that can get you to your desired goal of financial freedom. And it really depends on what you really want and what you're committed to doing. So for me, the fear came from all these options, because Hawaii is not known for buying over cash flow. Hawaii is known for flipping and wholesaling, more active roles, big paychecks, but not consistent.
Big paychecks, also big tax bills. I think I talk to people about flipping every day. I think it's the sexy thing that's sold on TV, right? You see these awesome houses and you're like, I can do that. I'm a good designer. If you flip a house, I think flipping's dangerous for 2 reasons.
Agreed.
First one, if you misjudge your cost, you're going to eat up all your profit. Number 2, if you misjudge the market, you might have a really hard time selling it. Your carrying costs are going to go up. But the third one is you finally sell it and you make $100,000. How much of that 100,000 are you keeping, CJ?
Not a lot.
Yeah. You're going to get hit really hard on taxes for that. And although you can do it, there are much better ways. So, okay, you had some fear in the beginning. You were unsure where to start. I think a lot of people think that they're like, oh, I want to do buy and hold. Oh, I'm going to do some flipping. Oh, wholesaling's really easy. How'd you guys settle on buy and hold?
Jazz picked it, and she picked it because she's a lot more dedicated to research and understanding the strategy really mattered. We obviously looked into what flipping could look like in Hawaii, and it just didn't make sense for our desired goal, because my goal is to not have to work, and to not have to work isn't a one-time paycheck. It's the consistency of replacing that paycheck forever. And she landed on a strategy for cash flow, buy and hold for cash flow. And part of it came from the Purple Book, right? Rich Dad Poor Dad. She was a big follower of Robert Kiyosaki and read all his books. And I mean, the name of the game is cash flow. And she got her idea that we could do that, and then started meeting people who were actively doing it in Hawaii.
Yeah. The name of the game literally is cash flow. If you guys have not played cash flow, there's a free version if you go to the Rich Dad site that you can play. You can play it online with people. It's fun. Yeah, it's
I still play it today.
Do you play with your kids?
I do, and they're in that in-between season right now where it's not as fun as it was when they were smaller. We had the kid version, but the adult version, or the newer version, is even better because it's got some different curveballs it throws you versus the old version.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's so. Okay, so you decide on buy and hold. So this is something people are always like, what do you mean remote investing? You guys were in Hawaii and you bought your first property. Where did you buy your first property at?
Indianapolis.
How did you pick Indianapolis?
Jazz found, like I said, people that were already doing it and built relationships to the point where she trusted them enough to ask for referrals. Like, hey, I want to get started on that first one. Where would you recommend I invest? Do you have a team member I can connect with? And they turned us on to a turnkey company out in Indy.
Oh, so turnkey. This is if you guys are paying attention, you're going to want to listen to this. We're going to talk about a lot of mistakes that people make. And turnkey is usually an interesting one. Let's talk about what happened with that first property. I mean, buying a property is really good.
Yeah.
Really quick before we get in that, if you guys are interested, if you want to know what we do, we help people remotely invest. There's a QR code. Jasmine figured out how to get in the upper corner. If you scan that, that'll get you on a call with me. I'm happy to walk you through what we do. We're very transparent and we're super easy to work with. So let's jump in. So you buy this turnkey place.
Yep.
What happens?
Nothing. It was, I don't know what it should have been.
Nice.
Put in the 25% down, closed on the property, had a tenant already in place. Property management was held by the turnkey company. It was a very smooth transaction. We actually kept that property for 5 or 6 years later. Like one of the longest properties we owned was our very first one, and partially sentimental. Maybe 7 years. Yeah, we waited a long time to move off from it because it was the first, but it had no problems. I mean, it cash flowed from day one, and we sat on it for one entire year because we weren't sure it was going to work. We were afraid.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think this is people, part of their brain says, like, I want to scale this as fast as possible. I have these conversations every day. People are like, I want to buy 8 properties this year. That's awesome. And it can be done. Absolutely. But then they get into it and they're like, oh, what happens? So you sat on that property for a year waiting to see what if the cash actually showed up in your bank account.
That we have a tenant that's really living there, that this lease is real, that it's producing what we're thinking is going to produce, that it is a lot more passive than the strategies we were more well accustomed to in Hawaii. And really, if we could do this from far away, because I've never been to Indianapolis. I still haven't gone to Indianapolis.
I want you guys to hear that if you didn't. CJ's never been to Indianapolis. How many houses do you have there now? Or none. Did you have?
That was our first one.
It was the first and only?
Yep.
Okay. So there's a question in the chat, and we're going to get to this. Andrea says, is turnkey better than property that needs rehab for a first timer? Great question. We're going to show you a little bit about turnkey. Turnkey, usually, in my experience, the person that's making the money on the turnkey is the person that's building the turnkey product. What that means is they're buying the place for 60 or 70 grand. They're doing minimal repair to it. They're selling it to you for 120 with a tenant that they've put in place and a management company that they use. And you're making, I don't know, 100, 200 bucks on it.
I think we're at like 350.
Okay. So you're making a little bit. The stuff I've seen, most people with turnkey, the person that's making the most money is the person that's selling you the turnkey. What we actually teach is how to do this yourself, how to find the properties, how to negotiate and buy the properties, how to build your team so that instead of 250, 350, you're making more in the like 500 range and not paying the middle person. To answer your question, though, about a property that needs rehab, I would not buy a heavy rehab for your first product at all. You want to buy something that is as ready to go as possible, because the real piece here is building your team and learning how to manage it. We'll get into some of what that looks like. CJ, you got any comments on that before we move on?
No, I agree. I don't think your first deal should be a very risky play, because how do you know you're going to like it? And if you don't like it, you might not be able to finish it. Like that's happened too with people that I know that have tried to do this on their own and want that amazing result that an experienced investor may be able to create after multiple deals on their first go around, and they fall flat on their face and walk away with losses. It's not a smart move, in my opinion, for a new strategy in a new market.
I've actually bought a couple of those.
They
went in and tried to do stuff and like, oh, we're going to do the kitchen ourselves. I bought one place that had like the countertops tore off. It was anyway. Okay. So first property going well. You've sat on it for a year. You finally trust that like, okay, there's a good tenant. We're getting some cash flow. What's the next step?
Buy the next.
So how are you financing these?
It was traditional. You put 25% down, go with an investor, 30-year fixed mortgage. They would finance at 75% as long as it appraised. And we were actually drawing from a HELOC as our down payment money.
Talk to us about that, because I think some people get confused. This is one of the most powerful strategies right here. If you're like, well, I want to get into real estate, but I don't have a lot of capital.
Yeah. I mean, we had some capital because we had decent jobs, but also living in Hawaii, it's a very expensive cost of living. However, we realized we had a lot of equity in the primary home we owned that we could access through a second position HELOC line of credit on it. And in Hawaii, they had some really good teaser rates for us to basically draw on it for almost little to no interest. And we used that to fund our initial purchases of, I think, up to 6 properties before we ran out of cash or line of credit availability.
So we're going to get to that in a second. So you buy the second place. How's the second place do? Was it turnkey as well?
No. Well, yes, and come to find out, no. And hindsight, we were grateful the first went really well because we would have easily been discouraged if it went sideways fast. So seeing it work for a year, it allowed us to have some level of confidence that this works. However, the second turnkey we bought was in a different market because we were trying to build in Indy and it just wasn't working. We were novice investors. We didn't really have any guidance around how to build teams, but we just couldn't find people that we wanted to work with. There's people you want to work with, and there are people that you can just feel like they're trying to get something from you. Salesman, car salesman. Not that car salesmen are bad, and that vibe is real. You can relate to that. But the second property we bought from a turnkey company off of Bigger Pockets, which is a very well-known platform forum that new investors like to go to get resources and so forth, because it's either free or it's a minimum membership, and you can plug away with so-called vetted companies and team members, which is what we did. And we were like, oh, wow, cool. We can just go to all these markets. Let's just pick this market. And we picked the market, bought a turnkey property, but we didn't really learn much from the first because it went so well.
Got it.
We overlooked a very crucial part in the due diligence phase that we overlooked on the first one, but just got lucky, which is verifying rental income and tenant and lease and background check, the whole 9 on a tenant. What our draw to this property is it was super high rent. Now I look back, I'm like, that's a red flag, because there is a market cap to some degree on what rent you can get for a single family in a vicinity of 1 to 2 miles. But for us, we're just focused on how much we can make, because it's the race to the replacing of the paycheck. And when we saw the cash flow, we're like, that's almost double what we're currently making in that Indy property, but for the same price. Like, let's just buy it. And we got all trigger happy and excited, where our emotions took over and our intelligence kind of took a dip into the tank. And we just overlooked things and said, yes, we had the money. It was no problem. We could get financing because this turnkey company had in-house financing. It was just the perfect storm. But after we close and the turnkey company is the manager, first month's rent didn't come in. We're asking, like, well, where is it? You said it was rented for this much. We haven't seen the rent check. And then they played off like, oh, well, I think they're having a hard time, blah, blah, blah. 2 months go in, no rent check. Now we're like concerned because what did we just buy? And this is during winter time. We come to find out the tenant was somebody who was homeless that signed a fake lease, basically trying to get off the streets and not be in the cold, and was willing to take the hit on the back end for doing something like that, and really just trashed the place because there's no value for them. They didn't have any risk or commitment, no financial hardship they're financially hardship. They weren't in a house, but they had really nothing to lose outside of getting in trouble, which they were willing to do. But we had to evict them, and the eviction process costed money. The person left the house in worse shape than when we bought it, which we never verified too, because we assumed, oh, they're living there, it should be fine. It was trashed. I want to say we had to put like 20 to 30 grand in to get it repositioned to be livable for a legit tenant to come in, and our rental rate dropped by $300 because it was too high from the get-go. And that was our second turnkey. So back to that person's question, there is risk too with turnkey when you are not aware of the processes and procedures you may want to follow to do what we call in our community trust but verify. I trust you're a legit company on bigger pockets, and I'm going to verify and protect myself through the due diligence process. That's what I'm allowed to do, and ask the questions that you may not be thinking of asking. We didn't think of it.
That's so the trust and verify piece is huge. The other thing here is having a community. I mean, you and Jasmine lead the community, but the community is very active. Having a good community that has your best interest at heart and will help you out and help you vet these things and tell you the things that you don't know. I mean, can you imagine if your first and second property would have been flipped around? If this would have been your first property,
we wouldn't have done the second.
Right. You'd have walked away.
Yeah. Extremely discouraged. But I feel like everything happens for a reason, and we needed the confidence in the first one to work so we could do this. Now we were tested in what we say we wanted to do. Right? Like, well, I just saw a quote. The next 5 years will expose if you truly are committed to what you say you want or if you're all talk. That was what deal 2 was for us. It was a test. Like, we know it worked because it's still working while we're going through this. That indie property was still working, but this one wasn't. Now our choice was, do we quit because we know how to failure, or do we learn from it and go forward anyway? And we chose to go forward because my desire to not work at UPS or work at all was very, very strong. And I was committed.
So that's huge. I think you see it work for the first property, and like, you know, it'll work for you. Like, you feel it, like it's working, but we messed up over here. Let's double down. Let's figure it out. And I think that's huge. I mean, I tell people, like, we were talking about this beforehand, right? It's not if something's going to happen, it's something bad will happen. Like, you will have problems, you will have challenges. I don't care who you are. You're never going to be able to sidestep all of them, but being able to deal with them quickly and efficiently and look at them as a learning process and say, okay, I learned from this. It's not going to happen next time. One of the questions in the chat, there's 2. Andrea says, how long did it take to buy your second investment? It was about a year, right?
Correct. We were too afraid to pull the trigger. We wanted to make sure it worked for a year. And
that's, Andrea, so many people in real estate will say, like, oh, you can get 5 properties or 6 properties in a year, which you absolutely can, but you don't have to. If you buy 1 property a year for the next 5 years, 6 years from now, you probably won't have to work. Like, that's how real estate works, because every year you get more value in equity and you get more in rent, and those keep adding up. If you can just figure out how to do this, and honestly, once you buy 1 or 2, it goes a lot faster. So second property, you put $30K in, you get it rent ready, you get it re-rented, you're making less than you thought you were going to make, but you were still cash flowing on it, right?
Yes. And we learned to fire the property manager.
So, important lesson here. Let's talk about this, because I actually had a call today where we were talking about property managers. And if you're remote investing, you're going to have a team. You're going to have a property manager, you're going to have a contractor, you're going to have realtors. Those are your big ones. So you had to fire a property manager. What would you tell people that are looking at hiring a property manager? Because this is a big lesson.
Oh, man. Interview right from the get-go. And if you're new, you probably don't know how to interview properly or ask the right questions that are going to give you clarity around what you really need to hear. Everybody's in sales, right? It's a cliche saying, everybody's in sales. And they're trying to sell you something. So they're going to want to tell you what you want to hear versus what you need to hear. And I need to know certain things about property management, team members, or companies, so I can determine if we're a good fit and in alignment to a common goal. Like my teams are always built around, are we in alignment to a common goal? Are we parallel running alongside? Is this a good fit? Is there synergy, understanding? Because if there's friction and resistance, why would I want to go into a relationship for just a short period of time? That's not gonna serve me. Buy and hold for cash flow and financial freedom takes time. It's not a get rich quick. It's a constant build over time. So I want my team in alignment. So I'm not fighting them along the way because that's exhausting.
Right.
Interview really makes or breaks team building. And I only learned that through scenarios like this. I mean, this is one of thousands that built what we have today in the community and the tools and resources and the suggested advisory or the experience that's priceless now. That can fast track you past these common mistakes that a new investor makes that I made. It cost me 30 grand.
Yeah.
A $30,000 lesson.
So then you learn the lesson, you move on, and we go to the next property. There's a question in the chat about, are these Section 8 properties? Are these Section 8 or these regular properties, CJ?
Those are regular. Do I do Section 8? Absolutely. I'll work with whatever is in front of me when I understand how to work with what's in front of me. I'm not looking for specifics, either Section 8 or not. I'm looking for the team members who can help me work with what's in front of me. So it really comes down to your team members. It's less what it looks like. It's who's with you that can handle what you're going to give them.
That's a good thought. I personally don't like Section 8. I tend to stay away from it. I had some questionable experiences with it. I think they're more challenging than they're worth. I think you end up with a lot of, I ended up with a lot of challenging stuff from it. Technically, absolutely. I mean, most of the stuff that we look for in WNN is in good locations, good school locations, like having a good school nearby. And in the Midwest, you can find good housing for 100 to 150,000. It's different than other parts of the US. You like Section 8 stuff, you might find something for 60 or 70 grand, but it's in a war zone and you don't want to own there, in my opinion.
It all depends on your strategy, your risk tolerance, your team. You got the right team, it works. And it also requires different level of work. So it's neither good or bad. It's, do you have the skills to take it on? It's like the turnkey versus the value add question. Like, which is more for your first deal or two? Are you likely to succeed with a specific Section 8 strategy? Or are you more likely to succeed in a market where good school system, low crime, B-class neighborhood type of a thing? You know what I mean? Like, you really got to take that into consideration on your first deal. And if you're new, you probably don't even know how to filter that. And that's where we come in and we help.
I think real estate is super sexy to look at because you're like, oh, passive income, I'm going to make money, I'm going to make appreciation. But it can be very challenging to get into your first time. Having some mentorship is a huge piece. That's what we do at WNN. If you're interested, there's a QR code on the screen you can scan. I'll get on a call with you. I'll walk you through what we do and how we do it. Jasmine's also put the links in the chat. You can click there to book. We're going to keep going with this, though. If you guys have found this informative, give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, let us know, and definitely put any questions you have in the chat. So, okay, second property, 30 grand in. You've got it fixed. You've got a renter in there that's good. What do you do the next year? Because the next year is where it really starts to pick up for you. You're driven to get free of UPS. What comes next?
We'll go back to that property too, because that was year 2. Right after all of that, we're like, full throttle. We bought 6. So
what period of time?
Yeah,
you bought 6.
So our part of the thinking was the bad experience revealed the lower amount of properties we own, the higher the risk is, because we don't have the volume to offset the bad that happened. But if we had 6 properties more, okay, it wouldn't have hurt as bad because those other 5 would be performing while we figure out the one, versus we had 1 performing and 1 not. It's 50% vacancy. That's half of our portfolio, right? So we talk a lot about this in the community too, in our space, is we encourage you to get that first result. It's the hardest thing to do, is the first property. After that, scale quickly once you have the conviction and know the knowledge around that you want to do this. This is what you want to do. You can build quickly, and we encourage it because it really mitigates risk to some degree when situations like this happen. Like you said, it's not a matter of if, it's when you have eviction, when you have a turnover, when you have to replace a roof. This is all part of the game. Learn to play the game properly doesn't take you out.
Right. So we'll get into a little bit more of that strategy. So you go all in on 6 properties.
Yep.
In 6 months, in 4 months, in
that whole year too. I don't remember exactly at what point we started going, but that property was property 2, and I think we were in contract for 3 at the same time, but it closed later, and then after we're like, we're just gonna keep going. Let's just burn through all the remaining money and just buy everything we can, and we did. Okay. I think we got up to 6, if I not recall, 6 or 7, one of the 2.
And these were turnkey, or did you start buying them yourself?
All turnkey.
And what did you take the lessons from number 2 and implement them? Did you end up with good tenants? Did you have any problems with those 6?
Better tenants. We still had problems along the way because we were playing with multiple markets, and team members weren't identical across the board. Asset classes, so different types of properties in different locations. Price point mattered, right? So as we started buying more, we saw our capital reserves go down, or our amount of money we could use go down. So that psychologically made us alter our buy box. So we started looking into the lower price properties because our money got less and less, but we wanted to keep growing. And then we also hit the wall of not being able to get more mortgages after that 6th or 7th door. We were told we can't get 30-year fixed investor mortgages anymore because our DTI was too high.
We're going to come back to that. There's a lot to unpack in here. So the first thing you said is you started buying in multiple markets. Would you still recommend that to people, or what would you think about that?
Buy where the team was proven or more promising. I wouldn't say proven because it was still a work in progress, but buy where the team looks promising, not shotgun it or machine gun it all over the country. That was a big lesson learned. I think we were in 4 markets at that point, and it was stretching us thin. That's 4 different states, 4 different regulations, 4 different types of property management, 4 different weathers, 4 different tenant classes. It just compounds all the complexity of what should be a simple process if you just stay true to a good market.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest lessons. I talk to people about that. Sometimes I get on a call. I was on a call with somebody, I think Monday. They said, like, I have in Wisconsin, and I have one in Alabama, and I have one in Texas. And I said, how's that doing for you? And they're like, man, we just want to sell all of them and buy in one place. And I said, why didn't you do that in the beginning? And they just said, well, I don't know. They looked like good properties. Yeah. So it's an interesting question, right? Like, do you remember why? Like, what drove you guys to buy?
We weren't sold on any specific market. We were specific around what our buy box was at the time. How much could we afford for this much down? How many properties we could buy with the remaining capital? It was all driven by how much we have.
Yeah.
It was a limiting belief, right? This is what I have, so I have to work with it.
Looking, hindsight's always 2020. Looking back, you would have just picked one market where you had a good team and it fit what you were doing.
And worst case scenario, maybe stay with 2 because you're playing the odds on one might work, one might not. But 4 was a stretch.
Yeah. I think that's great advice. Picking one market and going with that. That's what we do in the WIN program. The first month to 6 weeks is spent helping you narrow down where you're going to invest. Because you don't want to try be in 4 or 5 different markets. It's going to cause a lot of challenges. Instead, we want to get you really narrowed in, and we take you through a very proven process to help pick that. JJ, you're asking how much our service is. We have a lot of different services. My job on the call is to listen to you, listen to where you're at in your journey, and recommend the right piece for you. You can book a call with me. You can click in the upper corner right there, or click the link that Jasmine has dropped in. I'll be happy to chat with you. I promise you, it is not a hard pitch call. We're very transparent and we're very straightforward. But my job is to learn where you're at, where you want to go, and then recommend based on that. Yeah. A couple other questions in the chat. One of them is, what is the typical ROI on your average sales cycle? That's a big question. There's a lot of different ROIs you can figure in real estate. I'll give a general, and then CJ, you can give what you want. The houses that we're typically looking at are $100,000 to $150,000. For the first couple houses, we recommend traditional bank financing, which is going to be somewhere between 10 and 20% down. And then from there, you're going to make somewhere between $300 to $550 a month. That's kind of the range. It depends on where you choose to invest, what the houses look like. I know that's not an ROI, but that's a typical cash flow number. CJ, anything to add?
I don't disagree. I think ROIs and percentages are very misleading and more feel good versus what are you looking to make and what's the amount of money you need to invest to make it, or what kind of skill set do you have? Because I can have infinite returns when I do a proper burr and leave no money in the deal and make $300 to $500 a month. I have nothing in there. It's infinite returns. So I typically, I mean, people say I dodge it, and yeah, I dodge it because it really depends. I'm not trying to give you a false number. What I can create is not what you can create, and vice versa. You can create probably more in other markets or in other strategies than I could if I'm not an expert either. So simplify it. I think overcomplicating things and trying to make it a sexy percentage really discourages most people from, well, if I'm not hitting this percent, well, how do you hit it? And from my history in doing this for 11 years, it's never a constant. It depends month after month. You go vacant, you have eviction, your ROI just tanked if you got to put more money in the deal. So avoid the complexity and look for simple. I want to make this much a month. How many properties is that? Well, $500 is something that I can achieve, or 300, whatever it is. And I want 5,000. You need 10 properties. Focus on that and just simplify it.
To back up what CJ is saying, instead of focusing on ROI and complex numbers, look at, okay, I have this much cash. I need to buy this many properties to get to my freedom number. So we're going to talk about freedom number here a little bit later, but your freedom number is what is it going to take to get you out of your job? Or if you're already working part-time or semi-retired, like what's it going to take to hit your goal? And having a clear goal, this is a conversation I have on every call. I'm like, what's your goal? And if people come in and they say, well, I just want to make a lot of money. That's not a goal. Or I want to make $30,000 a month. Okay, where'd that number come from? Well, it seems like a good number. If you actually sit down and price out, Tony Robbins had me do this way back in 2012. It was one of the most crazy things. So you guys did it, right? You know what I'm talking about? Like you sit down and you're like, okay, these are the things that I want in my life. This is the number that it takes to replace my income. These are the things that I want in my life. And you actually price them out. You'd be surprised. It's probably a lot less money than you think.
Yeah. Needs versus wants. What's my fixed expenses to live without having to work? And what's my expenses with my current lifestyle? And that's the dangerous part about success too. Lifestyle creep is what they call it, where you make more, your lifestyle creeps up. Your fixed expenses really don't typically change unless you're always buying bigger and newer houses and stuff. But for the most part, it's the creep. It's the vacations. It's the travel. It's the first class versus coach. It's these little things that get you. But that's not the number that keeps you out of job.
Right.
It's what is my baseline cost of living that I need to cover so that I never have to punch in, punch out ever again. So there's usually two numbers. And the first number is always the fixed. What's your must-haves? This is the one. So people will be on the call with you, right, Steve? I want 20 grand a month. Okay, so you have 20 grand in fixed expenses? No, right. I want to go to Disneyland. I want to go to Europe. I want to go to Japan. I want to buy this new car. Like those are wants.
Yeah, what you're saying is very true. And I walk people through that. Replacing your income is the first number. This is my story from when I was bartending. This is actually, it took me 6 months to find that first property. I was making between $1,500 and $2,000 a month bartending. And that first property I made about $500 off of it. It was a duplex. And I was determined to quit my job. So every day I would go in, I actually liked bartending, but I would go in and I'd be like, I'm going to get another place. I quit my job before I should have. my second place, I ended up with about it was about $1,000 a month coming in, and I figured out I was like, I would rather eat rice and beans every day than continue going to work. So I quit my job. You were smart. You kept your job until you had more than your income coming in. I quit my job, which honestly, I tell that story and I tell people not to do that. I'm like, if you're making $5,000 a month, keep doing real estate till you make 7.
Yeah.
Like you're going to have a much easier time transitioning out. That's a different story. Let's go back to, so you get 6 properties. You've got 6 properties year 2. You got your first property in Indianapolis that you're married to because it was your first baby. You love it. What'd you do year 3?
Figured out the OPM, other people's money, or private money game, and got from 6 to 30.
Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. You hit the wall with 6. They wouldn't loan you any more money, right? You had reached the max number of mortgages you could have.
Currently, yes, correct. So we had a choice, just like we did with the eviction and the bad turnkey buy. Do we just accept it and say, well, this is it? Now I get to wait until I qualify for more, or do I go and find new and different ways and become a better investor so I can continue on my path? Because 6 doors did not get me near a quarter of what we needed for freedom. It was a good start, and I needed more, right? And that's where I leveraged the network that I knew in Hawaii. Albeit there are different strategies, the one thing I did see in common is all of them needed to raise additional capital to do flips. So what if I were to do that for buy and hold? Now, I know it's not a new concept or philosophy that I made up. I just didn't realize that other people were doing that for buy and hold. I just took what I saw locally and like, well, how do I do this afar? And it's funny because after I got financially free, I got turned on to the whole Burr book. I didn't even know that book. I knew it was out there somewhere because I found it on YouTube, what it meant, the Burr. But I didn't know that there was an actual book. I didn't know that. And that's how naive I was when we started. So if I can do it, come on. So you guys can too.
So other people's money. Samuel has a question. Sam, I hope you're still on. This was earlier in the chat, but I wanted to come back to it. And it says, that's one thing that people get shocked at when they hear that I haven't even seen the remote investment property. How can I help people that I'm raising private money from understand this? So private money, if you guys don't understand, there's over $38 trillion with a T in people's retirement accounts. Most of it is earning 5% or less. They would love to have an investment that is backed by real estate that's paying them 7, 8, 9%. Having those conversations is much easier than you think. This is something we teach in the program because at some point, as you scale, you are going to hit a wall. The bank's not going to loan you anymore. You're not going to be able to pull more money out. And this is how you scale. We talk about this in the program, but let's go back to Sam's question. How do you help somebody if they're remote investing and you're like, okay, CJ, I want to borrow 40 grand from you. I'm buying a house that I've never seen. It's out of state, but I have a really good team. You should trust me. Is that how the conversation goes?
Nope. I mean, that's how most do it. And it's not the way we teach. And I'm not here to say it won't work. There are people that are just straight up asking and getting capital from people they know. Our method is more relationship driven. See, the problem with that approach in my eyes, and I've made the same mistake in the beginning, which taught me a lot of lessons. And that's one thing I think has really served us to get to where we're at and get to that financial freedom in the less than 5-year mark, was we were willing to be students of our failures. What's not working? In our space, we talk about the 3 questions: what's working, what's not, and what's next. And I did that approach. I straight up asked, I want to borrow money. And if I were to say that to you, Steve, am I looking out for my interest or your interest?
Your interest.
Right. Because you have no benefit based on what I'm saying, as I'm asking for your money and not even really giving you any context on how you would benefit. So we teach it a lot differently in the community. And it's against the grain to what's sometimes promoted out there around how to raise capital, and I know it works. This is what I did. It's relationship driven. It's getting to know the person across of you and really figuring out how you can serve and support them with what I call opportunity. Because when it's an opportunity, it's no longer an ask. I'm presenting to you an option to see it of value or to not see it of value. And now you have a choice as the potential lender to be somebody who's bought in and wants to be a part of the opportunity, or to say no. And either way, I get to respect you where you're at and allow the process to play out. So back to Sam's question about how do you get people to understand this while you're doing it 3,000 miles away, you don't walk it. Show them. Not everybody you talk to is going to have that same concern, which means you're not talking to enough people. I play with what we call the 52 card deck challenge. It's something I learned in MLM. The 52 card deck challenge in a nutshell is really just getting very intentional around building relationship with people, 52 of them, getting to the point where you actually present an offer because you identified a pain point or something you could offer them that would serve them, and them responding with a yes, no, or maybe. If you don't have a yes, no, or maybe, it doesn't count as an offer because you never offered anything. They didn't say yes, no, or maybe. And from the MLM concept, why you do that, it's a makeshift form of like a CRM. You're tracking, you're writing these people's names down, the date you offered, their response, and then a follow-up. And I'm a visual person. So as I start seeing these cards pop up with names, dates, responses, I get more encouraged to continue because I'm seeing progress versus, oh, I think I talked to some people, but I don't know if I offered. I don't remember. Like, you got to be able to track this stuff. You're going to forget at some point. But the 52 cards is a fun game we play because, like the mentor in that MLM said, how many aces are in the deck?
Four.
And if I don't go through 52 cards, do I even have a shot of getting an ace? And an ace could be that one person that solves your capital problem for your next deal and builds up more credibility. So having that credibility only comes from creating results, and you're just seeing the early no's, Sam. You just simply get to keep going. It's all a volume game.
Nice. I agree. I love the 52 core game. That's great. Okay. So Jill's question is, how can someone start in the buy and hold when they don't qualify for a traditional mortgage? This applies to you as well. We've had a couple people in the program. We always like to tell people, like, you should start with money, get a traditional mortgage. That's the easy way. But if you don't have access to that, but you are 100% dedicated to making this work, you can, and you do it with what we're talking about right here, and that's raising private money, talking to people and raising money. Do you want to tell the story about the guy that got 11 properties with I think he had a 505 credit score?
Can. And I mean, just to harp on it before we go into any stories, is the real question is, are you willing to put in the work, like Steve said? And the second one, I think that's often, I wouldn't say missed, but maybe not brought up as a very important part, is being coachable.
Absolutely.
You're going to be very uncomfortable when you start working with OPM, other people's money, which is weird because the bank is other people's money. Yet because it's institution and it's not family and friends or something, it flips the script on people's mindset, and they're like, oh no, it's I can't, that's taboo. It's right. The same thing. You don't take out a loan to default. So why would you default on somebody that you know, like, trust, or is a family member or friend? So if you're willing to put in the work and you're coachable around getting uncomfortable, I don't see why that'd be a problem.
One of my favorite quotes is, like, you have a choice. You can be uncomfortable now learning something you don't know, or you can be uncomfortable later when you have the lack from being uncomfortable now. Another quote that's easier is hard conversations equal an easy life, and an easy life or easy conversations equal a hard life. Correct. If you can't learn to have conversations that might be uncomfortable, at some time, every conversation was uncomfortable, but you learned how to have it. And that's good communication. Okay, we're going to keep going with this. I do see the other questions in the chat. Don't worry. I'm going to come back and get you taken care of. So you start raising other people's money. You get 30 properties. So now you've got around 36, 37 properties between all of them, but you're still not quite to that financial freedom number. What's going on with these 30 properties? Because I tell people like, yeah, I had 50 properties. And they're like, how could you ever manage that? How can you make that work? And Jasmine's laughing right now because I tell her how much I hate management. If you want to explain management a little bit, like how you have 35 properties going, you're working full time, Jasmine's working. Is this what caused you to lose your hair?
It's always been a choice. Management, that is definitely, I get to give the kudos to Jazz because that's her strength, her lane. She found systems and processes on how to manage 30 doors. It wasn't easy. Like you said, we're both working full time. See, the other thing most people forget or are unaware of is Jasmine was actively going to school full time for a master's degree and was pregnant. So forgive me when I'm not moved by the pity stories of, well, I don't have time or I'm too busy. We made it a priority. It's never the lack of time, it's the lack of priority. So if you truly want this, and this goes back to the commitment, are you committed to this? It's a long build, right? 3 to 5 years is what we suggest you prepare for to get to that goal, because that's exactly what we did. We're not here to teach what we can't do. We're teaching what we did. And hopefully you can speed it up because you shortcut it earlier than we did, right? So if I look back, if I did what I did in year 3 and year 1, we'd probably have hit 200 doors by year 5.
That's
what I realistically think would have been possible if I had guidance. See, my biggest, oftentimes when I do podcasts, they ask, so what's the biggest regret? Not seeking out mentorship early. Because I paid for it through all the lessons learned by doing it on my own. I paid it multiple times over.
That is such a powerful lesson. I'm going to second that. I didn't get mentorship till I was about a year and a half, maybe not quite 2 years in. And same thing. I overpaid for a property that ended up having a lot of problems. I had a property that had a bad tenant that I would have caught if I had mentorship. Both of those things cost me over 30 grand. The mentorship that I paid for was $7,000. Like, it's having mentorship, having somebody look over your shoulder, double check you and support you is such a big part of this. If you guys want mentorship, if you want to learn what we do, there's a QR code right there above me. Jasmine's also dropped the link in there. Jim asks, my task, I don't know if you're really in WNN, Jim. If you are, your Brandon or Danielle should be taking you through this. When we go to choose a market, we have a very proven process that we take you through. It is definitely not random. We're building your buy box based on your needs. Then we're also narrowing down the Midwest to a central location. We look for good schools, good low crime areas, slow and steady job growth. We take you through that. That's part of the first 6 weeks of the program. You have somebody that you'll work with one-on-one that will help you with that. So that's in the program. Okay, so CJ, coming back, you start buying properties. Jasmine's managing them. You've got the system down. How do you finally get to financial freedom? How did you know that you had reached the number where you could quit working for UPS? Did you have a target on the wall?
I had a target and I knew I hit it. However, somebody who I'm married to said it wasn't enough. I'd say by 3.5 years, we technically hit the number for me to leave, but she wouldn't let me leave. And I'm actually really grateful she didn't, because I didn't have the discipline yet to stay committed with the growth needed and the consistency of learning new and different things, like I would have got very comfortable very quick, and maybe we would have had an okay run where I didn't work, but she did. She told me we need to double it, right? Because we hit my number. We needed to double it. The intent was never to get her out, but she knows I rise to challenges, especially from her. And she's like, well, we're here, but I don't feel like you're ready. So let's double it. And in year 4, we went to 90 doors. So
it's a good wife. And you listened.
She's a hard driver. She will make me work for what I want. And it's really served us well in growth.
That's good. I think I wish I would not have quit bartending when I bought my second property. I wish I would have stayed with it because I would have been able to get better loans, and I would have been more disciplined. So good for you. I wouldn't have wanted to be in that room for that conversation. I'm sure it went all right, but you're like, I just want to quit UPS. Nope. We got to double it. So year 4, you go to 90 doors.
Yeah.
You guys are managing this, and you did this all through personal money. Is that through
all
raising
private money, creative financing, alternative ways outside of what we knew initially when we first started? But that's the cool thing about repeating the same thing over and over again. You start to see opportunities in areas that you were blinded to because you just simply weren't ready to see it. And we started actively seeking out counsel from those who have gone before, mentorships, right? And that contributed to the large bump, I think, was actually having somebody speaking into me. Here's what you could do. Why are you doing this? Do this instead. You can expedite the process. And just having that accountability, because it wasn't easy. 30 to 90 was not easy.
What was the hardest part?
Imposter syndrome.
Ooh, talk about that. I wasn't expecting that answer.
Settling for good enough when I know I could be better, if not great. And having a mentor that saw something in what we were doing and the ability to go beyond what I was comfortable doing really helped combat the imposter syndrome. Like, I'm an investor. I technically made it, but I'm good. This is where I think Jazz really told me to stay at work because she wasn't sure I was ready. But having that guidance and that mentor challenge me really rose my mindset, which changed everything. And I saw all these different solutions to what normally would have been a wall that I couldn't get past pop up because I had somebody saying, you can do this. You can figure it out. How do you do this? If this is closed, how do you still do it? Sometimes just having them ask questions was very profound. It made me think, what can I do? How do I buy this portfolio of 20 doors? What are some options in repositioning and paying off lenders after I do so? What can I do in this scenario? How do I handle this team? How do I scale to this team? So yeah, I mean, imposter syndrome was real. Am I really an investor, even at 36 doors?
Man, that's a good question, because I think I kind of dealt with that a little bit. It was different for me, but that's a really, really good story. And it is really true. Like, having somebody there to back you and push you and help you get to the next level. So you hit 90 doors, you hit your number, you double it. What did it feel like to quit UPS?
It was cool, but then I was like, what's next?
Did you throw?
It's interesting, right? Like, I was so set on the dollar and the money. Like, that was the original driving force. But once you got it, it's like, well, that's cool, but is this really what it's about? Like, there's got to be more. And realizing the freedom was what I was really chasing, and the options to choose in and out of things without having to get approval by management or UPS. That was what I was really looking for. And the money created that freedom. So what was next? Like, it was nice to leave. Everybody thought I was going to come back. And then every now and then I'll still have old coworker friends that will text me like, so you coming back this peak? Nope. Just made 7 years. I'm not coming back. Why would I go back? You guys are laying off people and stuff. I'm good. Closing down hubs.
That's pretty cool. I remember my friends all my friends were like, you bought a duplex? Like, how did you buy anything? They were all in college, right? And then I started buying more places and they were like, what? And then I started employing some of them. I had one of my college professors. I always like to tell this story. Like, I had a college professor I gave Rich Dad Poor Dad to, and I respected him a lot. And he was like, he sat me down at the lunch table and he was like, Steve, the only person that got rich off of this book is the guy that wrote the book. Like, it's not going to work. And then 2 years later, he came up to me and we had a couple conversations and he was like, look, man, whatever you're doing is working. Can you help me? And I helped him buy a rental property, which he ended up buying several. It's a really cool feeling to leave. And what I want to point to here is you were like, what's next? Money in the bank is nice. Like, hitting a freedom number is great, but then learning the skill, learning to do it well. And I think something that I've heard more in this community than any other community is giving back and helping other people with it is a reward of itself. So that's you left UPS, 90 houses. What was the next, 5, 6, 7 years like? It's been crazy, right?
Good crazy. Figuring out how to keep playing Monopoly in real life. We got our greenhouses, but that's not the end game or the best cash flow. Something clicked on the management side when I saw Jazz working harder than she did when she was working at the post office managing 90 doors. That made me go, how do I simplify it for her? Because I enjoy stacking doors, and she knows if I could, I'd continue stacking doors. But she literally stopped me and said, enough. It's a lot. It's overwhelming. Like, we're good. Why stop? And I kind of dug in saying, you challenged me to keep going, so I'm going to keep going. But she's like, it's overwhelming. We gotta do something different. And that's when we looked into commercial and realized, well, we have a lot of equity in our properties that we can now convert because we owned it for 4 or 5 years. And appreciation is one of the pillars that you benefit from when buy and hold. So you sell when it makes sense. And the market was very favorable to sell. Interest rates were low, historically low. So our values of our home shot up massively, and we had all this debt equity. So we started looking into trading to red hotels, and the red hotels we decided to go into were traditional commercial spaces. And that's been the pathway for the last 6 years. Just continuing to grow that larger commercial portfolio while still doing the greenhouses.
If you guys want to learn this, we've helped several of our students go into commercial. Most of them don't start there. Most of them do traditional first, but we can have that conversation. If this conversation has lit you up, I see Ron in the chat says this has been a great conversation. That's a lot different than the normal BS. I appreciate that, Ron. We're very straightforward. We're super transparent. And honestly, we're here because we want to help you guys. Hopefully this conversation has turned on some light bulbs for you and changed the way you think about real estate and what's possible. If you want to book a call with me, Jasmine's put the link in the chat. There's also the QR code up above me. It's been our privilege to be here sharing with you. Alex asks, are the markets that your system targets large enough and active enough to ensure everybody can find houses? I love this question. CJ,
when is any market a shoe-in for any investor? The question is, can you find and create deals in the market that you pick?
So I want to actually unpack this one a little bit because this question comes up.
Yes, a lot.
Most of the properties that we buy have been on the market for 3, 4, 5 months. Do you want to tell like some of these stories, CJ? There's so many of them. I'll throw one out there. This was like a month ago. We had somebody in the program saw a property that had been, I think you said there were 18 people that had looked at it, maybe. Do you remember this? Do you remember?
That was my property that I ended up
Okay.
doing. Yeah. I mean, that was the thing that came to mind. It's like, okay, what's a great deal to you? Great deal to you and me are two different things depending on our financial situation. There's a lot of variables that make the deal great or doable for either one of us. But anyway, this deal was a deal that I saw, I found. It was on market for several months, whatever, price reduced. And I showed it to a group of our students and I said, well, run your numbers. Who would want this and at what price? And they all looked at it and said, no, it's not worth it. So I turn around and I do the deal. Long story short, and I think we have it in one of our old recordings, but long story short, I created almost $100,000 in equity on that deal, doubled the rental income because there was a mishap on raising rent over the years, kept the tenant in place and was cash flowing like crazy. And they all kicked themselves in the butt for not pulling the trigger because they simply didn't see what I saw. It's the same market. It was a deal that was open to everybody in that room. Everybody opted out. So it don't matter how many people's looking in the market. Do you see an opportunity and are willing to execute on it? Nothing we do is guaranteed. And the skill set matters. So we develop investors. You want to be an investor who can do this from first door to 90 if you want to repeat it. You get to be developed. And the mindset shift in there is abundance versus scarcity.
There are always deals.
Yeah.
Always. And we're not looking in markets where stuff is going usually over asking. We're looking in solid Midwest markets where stuff is sitting on the market. But sometimes you'll find stuff that's off market. Sometimes it's stuff that people have overlooked. The first town I started in had a population of 28,000. I had more than 50 properties in 3 years when people told me that it wasn't going to be possible because I went out, I beat the bushes, and I made deals happen. I found the deals and I worked them. Yeah. I hope, Alex, I'm not trying to sidestep your question. The markets that we are in are definitely big enough. All of our students, we have a very high success rate with students finding properties and buying their first property. We're picky about who we bring on, and we make sure to support them. The markets have houses. Thousands and thousands of houses get listed every single day. There's always a house for sale that you can find and make a deal out of. And our job is to help you.
I'll add one more thing to that, to Alex. Here's more of an encouragement. You want to focus on what you can control. You can't control what other investors are doing in any market. So how do you become a better investor? What can you do to improve daily around your investment strategy in the market you're in with the team you're working with and go and create deals? And it's literally what we did. I wasn't fixated on, well, how many people are looking in Indy or in any of our other markets. It's like, well, where's the next deal and how do I create it? What do I need to do better this deal than I did last deal? What worked, what didn't, what's next? Those three questions have served me well over the last decade that I've been doing this. So that would be my encouragement. Fixate on what you can control, not what you can't.
I think that's a great place to leave this. What you can control, if you guys have got a lot out of this, click that QR code, click the link that's in the chat, book a call. I'm happy to chat with you. I promise you it's not a hard sales call. I just chat with you about where you're at and where you want to go and if we'll be a good fit. If we are, I'll share that with you. If not, I'm happy to tell you that as well. Wishing you guys all the best. Ron, good to see you. Alex, great to see you. Who else was here? Sam, good to see you. Jasmine, always good to see you. Jim, good to see you. Guys, have a great night. We'll see you in 2 weeks. If you want to come back, we keep these live. You can always ask us questions. Have a great night, guys.